pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would please call roll.
Kluter?
Yes.
Braverman?
Here.
Klein?
Here.
Bilski?
Yes.
Here. Can I have a motion to confirm the appointment of Benjamin Fitchwell to the fire department as a part-time firefighter paramedic?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bilski. Thank you, Mr. Klein. Chief, if you'd like to come up and...
Hello, we're looking for the appointment of Benjamin Fitchwell to the fire department tonight. Ben, right there, I think most of you might have met him down by the fire truck earlier. He's 24 years old. He is a firefighter too, a paramedic. He's young, and we're going to teach him hopefully the right way. And he won't get picked on at all. Ben, you want to introduce who you brought with you tonight?
Yeah. This is my good friend Sam. This is my sister Sam. My brother Joseph and my dad Frank.
All right. Anybody have any comments? If you'd call roll, please.
Kluter?
Yes.
Braverman?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Yes. Huber?
Yes. If you want to come up, and I will swear you in. You guys can come up if you want and take pictures.
Come behind, whatever you'd like.
Come right up here.
Come right up here. Three balls for a quarter. Let's go.
Oh, I've done a few. Have you? Yeah. You can come back here if you want. Oh. Side shots, front shots, whatever. If you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Benjamin Fitchwell,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge my duties as part-time firefighter paramedic
discharge my duties as part-time firefighter paramedic
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance of said office.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, here's a little, sign if you, sign right there.
I'm very excited. Thank you, Jess.
Welcome aboard. If you wanna say hi to everybody.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'll take it. You guys can hang out for the rest of the meeting.
Get enough pictures. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Very excited. Thank you.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Four years old. You're removing the audience, Chief?
If there's no objection, I'm going to move under new business, resolution 2019-4 up to this point in the meeting. Ron Barron was a wonderful man. He was on council, and he was a great asset to Orange Village. And his daughter and granddaughter are here today. You know, we do have a resolution that honors Ron, and I'd like to read it for you. We'd like to pass this resolution, which will be forever ingrained in Orange Village. A resolution honoring Ronald Barron for his years of service as council member of Orange Village, mourning his passing, and expressing condolences to his family. Whereas Ronald Barron ably served Orange Village as a member of the Orange Village Council commencing in 2014 through 2019, and whereas as councilman, Ron Barron was committed to enhancing the quality of life for all residents of Orange Village, and he believed the best way to accomplish this was to expand the village's tax base. To this end, Councilman Barron's passion and skill were instrumental in bringing the Pinecrest development to fruition. And whereas Ron Barron served on the board of the Northeast Ohio City Council Association, on the Orange Village Finance Committee, and on the board of the Orange Village Volunteer Firefighters Dependent Fund, and as chair of the Orange Village Education Committee, where he acted as village liaison with the Orange City School District. And whereas Ron Barron enjoyed professional success serving as a regional director of professional operations for Revco, overseeing 534 stores, the chairman of the Medication Safety Committee at Metro Health, and most recently as a consultant for business and medical organizations. And whereas Ronald Barron was a 40-year resident of Orange Village, the devoted father of 2 Orange High School graduates, Allison Barron and Ashley Fisher, and husband to Lori Barron, a teacher at Brady Middle School for over 20 years. And whereas Ronald Barron believed fervently in paying it forward and gave selflessly to all that he did, both professionally and personally, enriching forever the many lives that he touched. Know that the world is a lesser place in his absence. And whereas this council desires to express its sincere gratitude to the family of Ronald Barron for his years of dedication, service to the village, and to express heartfelt condolences of his passing. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of Orange Village, County of Cuyahoga, and State of Ohio, that the mayor and council, on behalf of all the people of Orange Village, hereby express their sincere gratitude to the family of Ronald Barron for his outstanding public service and dedication to the village and the greater Cleveland community, and note that such outstanding service is rare and worthy of emulation. That the clerk of council shall forthwith transmit a certified copy of this resolution to the family of Ronald Barron in honor of his service to the community, and that this resolution shall take effect and be in force from and after the earliest period allowed by law. Thank you for coming tonight. We will, Anna, you'll get a copy of this, and we'll get a copy of this ordinance for you, okay? And, you know, again, our deepest condolences from everyone here on council. Can I have a motion to pass this resolution? Thank you, Mrs. Perry. Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you, Mr. Klein. If you'd call roll, please.
Luter.
Yes.
Braverman.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry. Yes. Duber.
Yes. Here, oh, you don't need that. You have the,
I'll have the original.
and we're looking for his nameplate for you. So, well, if we can, you're allowed. All right, can I have a motion to approve the purchase of a 2019 police vehicle for the total amount, including outfitting, not to exceed $36,000?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Again.
Thank you. Did the chief discuss in public meeting last week? Oh, yes, he did. So as discussed at the last meeting, we're adding a police car, and it's not going to affect the budget whatsoever. I think the chief said everything he had to say last week. Sergeant Roberts is here, just in case anybody has questions. Hi. Anybody have any further questions on it?
The mayor just said we were moving it up out of rotation. Are we adding an additional one? Did you make that clear at the last meeting?
If you want to confirm, we're not adding one necessarily, we're just going early on it, on one car. So we're adding one to the rotation.
We're adding a
budget that we already had set aside for the rollover of the new cars when we get the whole fleet.
It's my understanding we are looking to add a cruiser to the fleet. We are expanding the fleet by one.
Right.
It was this year's, excuse me, escrow amount that we were using to purchase it.
Questions on it?
Primarily because of Pinecrest?
It's due in part to that, but there's a lot of other things we do throughout the city, some tactical reasons that the use of one more vehicle would be prudent.
Any other comments? All right, if you would call roll, please.
Yes.
Braverman. Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Duber.
Jumping the gun, Dana. Can I have a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of May 1st, 2019?
Motion made.
Second.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments on the minutes? You call roll, please.
Luter.
Yes.
Braverman. Yes. Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry. Yes. Duber.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report of fiscal year 2019 through March. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Dana, if you'd run through it with us, please.
Hey, good evening. March 31st, cash account summary. The fund cash balance is $9,033,673 at the end of March. And the summary for the month and year-to-date through March is showing total revenues of just under $1,000,007, and total expenditures about $1,009,000. Some points of interest is the Fund 209, the Pinecrest TIF Fund. That is where we received the funds for the property taxes that are put in the separate fund that go for the TIF, and the expenditure comes right out, and that gets sent over for the schools and then also to the trustee that handles the payment for the TIF.
I just refreshed my memory. Where do we keep the general fund reserve?
I'm sorry?
The general fund reserve, the $1 million, is that in Raymond James or Star?
That $1 million is just built into the $9 million in cash account. It's not in a separate fund or a separate line item.
It's all part of the 101.
It's all part of the cash balance.
Reason we can't invest a part of that?
Well, we are investing about almost $8 million.
I see that. I'm just asking about the $1 million in the reserve. Is that just how a separate part of the general fund? Or am I not reading this properly? Three lines of the report is the general fund, and then the general fund reserve. So isn't that $2.5 million?
That $1 million of the general fund is a makeup of the total of $9 million in cash. Of the $9 million in cash, that is not set up as a separate fund or a separate bank account. It's built into the total amount of cash of all those bank accounts. So it could be represented in the general fund, general checking. It could be represented in the Star, Ohio, Raymond James. It's just all built in. The interest rate that is earned is prorated, and a portion of the interest that's earned on all of these accounts goes to the general fund, and it goes to the state highway fund and those funds. So
But it is invested.
it's all part of the package of what we invest.
That's what I was trying to reaffirm for myself. Thank you.
And then I gave you the revenue and expenditure report through March 31st at 25% of the year. I highlighted and put notations on your report showing just some of the changes that might have been higher than the 25%. Property taxes is greater than 25%, and that's just because of the timing of collections. Our interest income is increased, and that's in miscellaneous and interest earnings in the various funds, and that's over $61,000 so far this year. And in 402, we had the payment for the fire truck, and then in 406, we have the 2018 road program that was paid in 2019.
Is there any update on what's happening with Pinecrest and?
I was going to give you an update in a moment when I go through the treasurer's report.
Thank you.
Anything else on the treasurer's report? Okay. All right, if you would call roll, please.
Luder?
Yes.
Braverman? Klein?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Perry? Duger?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the tax administrator's report of April 30th, 2019. Is there a second?
Second.
Dana, if you would, please.
We have the tax administrator's report through April 30th. Total gross collections for the month of April was $454,000. That's higher than last April's by $191,000. And year-to-date, we are now $430,000 higher than where we were at the same point in time last year. And we're about $67,000 over our budget, prorated by 4 months out of the 12. Update on Pinecrest. Pinecrest is doing well. We're caught up. We have one business that we're still finalizing to get caught up on the past taxes. So we're now working on finalizing the contractor accounts, and I think we have a couple contractors, they're all smaller dollar amounts that we're working on, trying to get them so we can close out the contractor side of it. And then we're going to be moving into the tenant side, and net profits now is going to be our next avenue of moving in and get reporting from Rita on those.
Are you getting any assistance from Rita to do all of this?
Oh, I talked to Rita, I was on the phone with them for several times, even just today, on getting up ready for the next phase, now that April 15th has passed and people are filing their tax returns, so we're setting up the reporting for those so we can track that, as well as net profits.
Good, good.
And we're going into the next phase on those that we're still waiting to get caught up.
Do we know how much of the 216 is catch-up versus regular?
The person that I spoke with said he didn't have that information available, but one of the things he is working on is coming up with a monthly estimate based on all the businesses there and what we anticipate their annual collections would be by month. They have that almost done. There's a couple bigger components that are larger dollar businesses that are just newer to the area that we don't have their estimates yet, and he's wanted to confirm those before he finalized. So once we have that, we'll have a good idea of how much we should be collecting in a given year from that versus going back and trying to break out this information that we've collected, which year it came from.
And are they going to continue on that as more tenants come in to, I mean, obviously it's an evolving thing until it's
But there was a couple larger dollar amounts that they wanted to fine tune before we finalized the report,
Gotcha.
so.
Any other questions on the tax administrator's report? All right, if you call, please.
Cluter,
Yes.
Haberman,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Perry, Huber.
Yes. Moving on, discussion of bills to be paid in the month of May in the amount of $143,998.21, and additional April expenses in the amount of $697,428.03. Does anybody have any questions on the bills? All right, if we will move on. Moving on to audience comments relating to agenda items only. Anyone? Okay. Old business, ordinance 2019-13, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the East Ohio Gas Company, doing business as Dominion Energy Ohio, establishing a restoration bond deposit for Dominion Energy Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is on for second reading. Yes, come on up. I know you wanted to, Laughlin, I know you wanted to share a couple things with us. We had questions as to, how this whole thing, I guess.
Yes, and I'm just here to answer any questions that you had regarding the proposal.
Why are we doing this?
For any proposals, any work that's to be done in the right-of-way, a deposit, review of that project has to be done by the village engineer and the service department, and we have to collect funds for that, to cover that review, and then also take a deposit should the roadway not be properly restored. So depending on the project, it could be, the amount of that deposit can change dramatically, whether you're going to be drilling under the road or simply opening up a 10-foot or a 5-by-5 section of the tree lawn. So the village engineer has to determine how much that amount is going to be. We then take a permit fee. The bottom line is that's all relatively complicated, and each proposal is different. And so it takes us a while to get those fees up and running and determine exactly how much that would be. The difficulty we have with East Ohio Dominion is that they've got a lot of little projects, and our deposits, as it turns out, to protect ourselves, to make sure that we have funds to restore the right-of-way if their contractor fails to do so, it costs more to the contractor than he's being paid to do the small job. So what we've worked out with the law director is to allow them to provide a single deposit, not from their contractor, which is how our current system is set up, but instead from Dominion themselves. And then should their contractor fail to do the work, we will tap that deposit and then bill them to restore that deposit. So we keep an ongoing set of funds. It allows us to review them more quickly, get the jobs done more quickly, and and move on to the next job.
What's the amount that we're going to take from them?
I'm sorry?
What's the amount, did we say?
It's a $10,000.
It's in the ordinance.
Sufficient?
Well, we went back and forth on that, and since it will be, most of the time, it's a $5,000 deposit on each individual project. And yes, we do ultimately think that that's going to be sufficient. Should we have to tap that, they immediately have to refund and bring that balance up to the $10,000. So it's not as though we're going to let them deplete it. Each time we have to tap it, and we shouldn't have to tap it at all. Right, but each time we have to tap it, they within, I think, 30 or 60 days, they have to bring that balance up to full 10,000.
Project
Yes.
that eats up that fund by $5,000, they will give us 15.
They will, well, if they go, use $5,000 of the 10, they will restore that 5,000.
That's not what I'm asking.
But yes, if it,
The whole fund, and they owe us 5 for that project, they'll then give us 15.
yes, they have to maintain a positive balance of 10,000.
Okay.
It also puts the onus on Dominion to manage their subcontractors, because they'll have to go after them specifically to get money if they're paying out of their deposit for work that's being done by the subcontractor.
That's another factor that we should note, is that the experience of Dominion's contractors has been very good. We have not had to tap any of the contractors' bonds. If that were to change, and they would have a problem with this blanket bond provision, we have the authority to terminate the agreement and go back to what the ordinance.
We're just creating a convenience for them.
And for us, too,
For
because
them and for us, because this,
one of the famous H funds.
more quickly.
But it
Check the
shouldn't
money in
cost
and
either of us any money.
What's that?
It shouldn't cost either of us any money.
Correct.
Or substantial delay.
Correct.
Okay.
Are there ever projects that they would need to put a bond of more than $10,000 down currently?
We haven't run across that. The village engineer was looking at it. If they were to do a mile of main gas line, that's something that we would have to consider. They may have to, there's a larger risk, let's put it that way. But again, they have to restore it. Should they go below the 10,000, they have to restore it immediately.
We still be requesting a larger bond
Yes.
in situations that would typically require a larger bond?
The ordinance gives the authority to the village to require a larger bond from a contractor who is performing a major project within the village at the engineer's discretion. And that would be, probably a multi-million-dollar project that you'd get a very substantial bond from the contractor, and it makes economic sense to do it that way as well.
Does anybody else do this? Any other communities that you're aware of?
I think we've sort of created this model.
And is there any other contractors in Orange that we would consider doing something like this for?
My opinion, I would try to limit it if we to utilities. There's too many other variables with the smaller contractors, but no one else has requested that at this point, and I really don't anticipate them doing so.
You have comments?
There was a question regarding the particular contractor that was named.
What's that?
There's a contractor that's named in the ordinance. And there was a question as to why that was in there, and the short answer is, it's because that contractor thought he had approval to do a job, but didn't actually get a permit, and so that particular permit will be done in arrears. All right, we haven't signed off on the final seeding and grading. The project has been done, but we want to make sure that this bond covers that job that's already been done, should we need it to. We won't know for another couple months how well the seeding crew took and all of that.
Contractors understand they have to go through all the steps before they begin their work, except whatever convenience this bonding agreement creates.
Primarily, we're dealing with Dominion directly. And then once we've approved the project and said they can send their contractor in, at that point, the contractor's simply coming in, getting registered and paying the $150 permit. How much of all of this they know Frankly, I don't know, because we are doing all of this primarily with Dominion directly, and trying to take them out of this $5,000 per job loop.
Well, I think there's a substantial advantage for them as well, because the contractors are going to build that into their bid costs for every project, irrespective of how big the project is. If they have to put down a $5,000 bond, East Ohio Dominion's going to have to do something with that or recognize it in some way. And by having this blanket coverage, it saves them a lot of headache as well.
As I understand it from them, it allows them to choose smaller contractors, because if every job that you get, you've got to start out putting out $5,000 and wait 6 months for it to come back to you, you're only going to be able to get larger contractors to bid on those jobs.
Any other questions on this? All right, thank you for coming in today. Moving on to ordinance 2019-14 as amended, an ordinance amending certain sections of the codified ordinances of Orange Village to prohibit the erection of barbed wire fences. This is on for second reading. You made an amendment since last time, Steve?
Yeah, it is now with the Planning and Zoning Commission. They did not make a recommendation last evening, so there is likely to be a couple of little changes coming back, but.
No, it was reviewed at P and Z last night. There was some discussion on some language in the document, in the ordinance that needed some clarification, and it's going to come back on the agenda for our first meeting in June, I believe.
So it'll be a new amendment where we start over?
No. It's a minor amendment.
Well,
Managed to stump the band last night.
do you think it would make sense, just so we have enough time for discussion, to just sit it for second reading again, or to just do a discussion of it instead of having a change come to us and then voting on the same day?
Yeah, I mean, there's no urgency for this item whatsoever.
Probably, if we don't have the finalized now, I'd probably prefer to go ahead and, I don't know, would we set it for a second reading again, or just a discussion at the next meeting? And
I think you could set it just for discussion.
okay, all right, so why don't we do that and not do third reading, Anna, for next meeting? Anybody have any comments, any other comments on it today? And then we'll do third reading, second meeting, next month. Moving on to ordinance 2019-15, ordinance amending subsection A 913.04, tap-in fees for Miles Road, sanitary sewer phase 1 of the codified ordinances of Orange Village, and ratifying tap-in fees that have been paid in accordance with Orange Village number 1993-12. This is on for second reading. Change since last?
No changes. The person who is driving the tap-in fee ordinance, are they looking to do that within the next month?
I think she's applying for a grant and is needing this piece to be part of the grant to see that she gets the qualifications to receive the grant to treasurer.
Should we suspend it, yes? Let her have it completed.
I think that would be a convenience for the resident if you suspend the rules and pass this. Remember, the formula is exactly the same as it's always been. It's just putting the formula in place.
Are you making a motion to suspend?
I'll move to suspend.
Is there a second?
And
Call roll on suspension, please.
Luder?
Yes.
Braverman? Klein?
yes,
Bilski?
Yes.
Perry? Yes. Duber?
Yes, and is there a motion to pass ordinance 2019-15?
Motion made.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, if you call roll, please.
Luder?
Yes.
Braverman? Klein?
yes,
Bilski?
Yes.
Perry? Yes. Duber?
Yes. Moving on to new business, ordinance 2019-16, an ordinance amending the annual appropriation ordinance of Orange Village to change certain appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2019, repealing certain ordinances and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading, and the administration has requested suspension of the rules to pass this. Hi, Dana, would you like to
Hi.
explain?
As part of the amended appropriation changes in the general fund on page 2, Department 7023 Administration, personal service was increased $1,750. That was due to unemployment that was paid in 2019 from 2018. So it was something that was a carryover. It didn't get paid at the end of the year. There's a straggler bill that was paid, and it wasn't included in the budget. On the next page, Fund 301, debt service, that was increased $799,000, and that was due to those refunding of bonds that we did earlier this year. We received we refunded, so we received the revenue and paid off the bonds. That was not also included in the original budget that we did in December. Fund 402, this is why I kind of tried to bop up earlier, is that the capital equipment was increased $40,000 for the new police car. When we put the budget together, we had reserved $40,000, but did not include the appropriation. It was going to be carried over until we spent the money for the car at a future time. Since we're purchasing the car earlier, we have the money, it was appropriated in the revenue side, but not appropriated to spend. So I'm increasing.
Infrastructure amount?
I'm sorry?
The infrastructure amount by the price of the police car?
We're increasing Fund 402, the capital equipment fund, for the $40,000
In capital equipment.
for the vehicle. We had reserved the funds setting aside, so there was revenue in the account for it. It just was not budgeted to be spent because it wasn't anticipated until recently to spend it. And then 406, the infrastructure levy fund, that was increased $467,000. That was due to the 2018 road program that was anticipated to be paid in 2018. It did not get paid until 2019. So we're amending the budget so that we have 2018 and 2019's road program expenditure costs in the appropriation.
The fund is still intact.
Yeah, there's money in the account, there's revenue in it. It just was not appropriated.
The $18 that were going to be spent into 19.
Correct.
Okay.
Those are the only changes that I had.
Anybody have questions, comments? I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have an EMS person.
If you call a roll, please, on suspension.
Fluter,
Yes.
Braverman,
Yes.
Klein. Yes. Bilski.
Yes.
Carey. Yes. Huber.
And can I have a motion to pass ordinance 2019-16? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Back in the saddle.
Fluter,
Yes.
Braverman,
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry. Duber.
And moving on to Resolution 2019-5, a resolution authorizing the mayor to file an application with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for funds for a Nature Works program and declaring an emergency. Bob, do you want to speak on this a little bit?
This is just something carrying over from last year. If you recall, we applied for the ODNR grant for bathroom facilities in the park. We did not receive that award, so we're reapplying again with the same plan, moving forward with running water, sort of an upscale restroom facility in the park. So we about have everything fine-tuned. We'll settle on that number, but we need a resolution prior to application, which will be due June 1.
Do they typically make a decision on it? When do they make a decision on it?
Normally the fall.
Okay.
Think we stand a chance?
Sorry,
Do you think we stand a chance? You don't?
competitive. They're out.
Lost out last year due to more competition than funds available versus something deficient with our request, or?
Possibly a number of things. I mean, we did ask for a significant amount of money. The issue that we're having with the amount of money is we have to run sanitary in the back to the pump station here at the town hall. There's no electricity back there, so there's a number of items that need to be accomplished, which takes the threshold of our bathroom way up higher. So there are other cheaper means of doing it, but we're looking to, put something nice back there.
Thanks. I'll make a motion to pass Resolution 2019-5. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments? Call roll, please.
Fluter,
Yes.
Braverman,
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Carey. Duber.
Yes. Moving on to audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village. Anyone? Bueller? Okay. Committee reports and comments by council members. Mrs. Perry?
Comments?
Mr. Braverman?
This evening, thank you. No.
Ski?
Nothing this evening?
Planning Commission met last night, discussed, as mentioned earlier, the ordinance for the barbed wire fencing. There'll be further discussion with that. There were 2 other items on the agenda, and a third added that were all passed last night. One is a new house and a landscape and an addition. That's all we got.
Glitter?
Yes, Anna, any luck with the garbage cans? You were sending out a survey, a letter to other communities to see about the,
I got a couple more back, I just haven't had, I've been working on the grant, so.
okay, will we have it, do you think, by next time, maybe?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Okay,
have a couple
thank you, I appreciate that. And thank you, Anna, for giving us the notice of the Orange Village Council vacancy. It looks very good, so hopefully you'll be getting some resumes soon. Thank you. And I have to say, I have led a writing group, and the mayor allowed me to use one of the rooms here for 11 and a half years, but sadly, I have to dispense with that. 2 of the people are quite ill now, and they can't come anymore, and the other person has got another issue. So I think after 11 and a half years, I've decided to hang up my writing group cap, and I'm sorry, it was wonderful. We really enjoyed being here. It was a super experience, so thank you very much, and make sure the mayor knows that. And the bike trails going south on Brainerd, when's the drop dead date, when that's going to be finished? Does anybody know?
Probably a few more weeks, weather pending.
Few will meet 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 7 weeks.
Weather pending, they got a couple aprons to do, they gotta do the rehab of all the lawns and grading and stuff like that, so every time it rains, it sets them back a day. I would project 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. I mean, we're doing the best we can with it, but it's tiresome, to say the least. I mean, I think for the residents, I sort of impressed that they somehow managed to manipulate their vehicles, in front of the aprons, and then on trash day, somehow they park all their trash cans down the middle. So we're getting through it, but what's the next one that you're going to be doing, do you know?
We'll be moving back to Lander and hitting over by Miles and Lander, the section going over by Harper Road. We have a progress meeting next week scheduled that we'll find out more details from the contractor. They actually are moving real quick, so I think
3 weeks.
experience is actually less than what it potentially could be.
Okay. There's one house that I find curious. It's opposite the synagogue, and they've got a big drop, it looks like they're going to sort of go into a huge dip, and I'm not sure how they're doing that.
It will actually drop down. There's a rather large culvert pipe underneath there that had to be extended. You're talking the area by the guardrail right across from.
Yes. So will you level it off, or how is it going to work?
It's going to dip down.
Oh, it is going to dip down.
It's close to the road. The guardrail's there to provide protection.
Okay.
But there's a large landscape wall behind it, so it was one of the more challenging areas.
People have asked me, so I don't know. I'll find out. So thank you. Oh, and the other thing is, anybody got an update on the Moonies? Anybody know anything about the Moonies? What's going on? Do you?
Didn't hear anything from June.
No. Did they have a date when they were supposed to be in compliance?
They were supposed to finish something by the end of June. And
Is that with Beechwood or with us?
no application for a permit has been submitted. So,
We're in no man's land. It's,
in Beechwood's court.
okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's all I. Pardon me? That's it.
Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Comments by the mayor, which is basically me today, but no. And council president, no. And motion to adjourn, I'll make it. Thank you. If you call roll, please.
Duber,
Yes.
Braverman, Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Barry, yes, Duber.
Yes.